Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, 12 games enter. All 12 leave. We're ranking the Mario games, and there will be blood. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell. Mark, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah, we got a little bit of we've got a game ahead of us here.
Yeah, I'm pumped for this episode.
It's gonna be fun. We're both feeling good. We're both jazzed on LaCroix right now.
Yeah, and last weekend we had, or I guess this weekend. Well, whatever. We had.
It was during the weekend.
It was during
okay?
the weekend. We had a Bloomin' Onion.
That's right. We
and
did
not like a knockoff.
No. We went to Outback.
Yeah.
We went to the Outback Steakhouse on Brand Boulevard in Glendale.
You can be like us and go to the Outback Steakhouse on Brand Boulevard in Glendale.
For dinner on a Friday night.
Uh-huh.
Look, these things happen sometimes. And I did not care for this Bloomin' Onion.
So look, I could have kept eating it, but you reach a point where you're looking at it and you're
It's
just like,
huge.
it's enormous. And
It's so much food.
You're looking at it and you're just like, this is like the components of food.
Right. It looks like food.
But it's not really food.
Actually, does it look like food? Because it kind of just looks like something that should go in like a desert animals terrarium.
Well, answer me this. Would you eat just like bread, white bread,
right?
an onion, and like spicy
bunch
mayo.
of oil?
Yeah. Because that is what it is.
Yeah, but I feel like you could do that with most food, where you break it down to its component parts and be like, you're just eating this.
Yeah, but we're not being pithy about that. We're being pithy about Bloomin' Onions.
That's a great point. No, I mean, I guess what it boils down to is that it's like eating. It's like they turned a whole onion into onion rings.
Yeah.
And you're expected to eat it all. Also, they don't chop it all up, right? Where do you get your favorite? Where do you like onion rings?
Not
Are you an
really.
onion ring? I do like onion rings. I had a real hard time with this Bloomin' Onion, Mark. I am sorry. What I'm not sorry about is the Sonic Forces borrowing program.
No, we have no apologies for such a thriving, successful program.
Right, and no apologies are necessary. If you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, all you have to do is write with your address to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and I send you my copy of this game on the Switch. I guess it's worth saying it's a Switch copy of this game. You can play it for as long as you want, drop it in an envelope, send it back to me, no cost to you, and you get to play this game.
There's a little bit of a wait, probably.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a wait, probably.
Because there are other people on the list.
As Mark said, it's a successful and thriving program, and you could be part of the successful and thriving program. Mark, speaking of successful and thriving programs, are you ready to get into our topic?
I am. Let's do it.
I'm so excited about this. We are going to be ranking the Super Mario Brothers games.
Oh, we've done a couple of these ranking episodes, and this is one that we have kind of put off tackling.
Right, because it seems either too big or to trim it down seems a little too arbitrary. But we have trimmed it down. The rules are as follows. We are talking mainline console Super Mario Brothers games. There are some games that aren't part of this list that, like, you could maybe argue should
like
be.
Yoshi's Island.
Like Yoshi's Island, like Super Mario Maker. But we are taking them out. So there are 12 games total. Should we run through them chronologically
Yeah, let's run through
real quick? So on the NES, we've got Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, and Super Mario Brothers 3. Now, Super Mario Brothers 2 in this case is Super Mario USA. We are not including the lost levels in this.
We're not including All-Stars, any of the All-Star versions.
Right. And, for all of these, a lot of these games have been re-released in many different ways, and we're just sort of holistically looking at the game. Super Mario Brothers has been released a couple different ways, and it's just sort of how we feel about the game generally. On the Super Nintendo, our fourth game, Super Mario World, the only Super Nintendo entry on this list. Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine being the 64 and GameCube entries. Then we start to get a few more games per system. On the Wii, we've got New Super Mario Brothers Wii, Super Mario Galaxy, and Super Mario Galaxy 2. On the Wii U, there's Super Mario 3D World and New Super Mario Brothers U. And then ending, of course, with Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch. And yeah, maybe that thing's handheld, console hybrid, but we're including it in this list. So, Mark, how do you want to approach this?
So
Or maybe it should be known that we've given. I pulled out a dozen amiibos.
Oh yeah.
And labeled each one of them with a with one of the Super Mario games, and we can place them on this like line here, this sort of victor's podium of games here, and we can rank them all together from 1 to 12, best to worst. And in this case, it's Super Mario Brothers games, so they're all pretty good.
Yeah, this one is actually harder than some of the other ones we've done.
Yeah.
Where occasionally there's some real stinkers.
Yeah, fewer like obvious stinkers. And also like for me, when I made my my personal list, I was like, well, here are God tier games, and then I was like, oh, it's most of them.
Yeah.
So when we are done with this, we will have definitive and irrefutable rankings. Right now, our rankings are incomplete and imperfect because we have not come to consensus yet.
Yes. Separate,
Mhm.
we are mortal.
Yes.
Combined, we're unstoppable.
And infallible.
Yes.
So, Mark, how would you like to do this? Would you like to go through one of our lists firsts? Firsts.
So I think what we should do is both say our lists,
Okay.
and then we can start to compile a definitive list because we may have commonalities.
Sure. We
the-
may discover things
Yeah.
early on. So why don't you start by walking us through from worst to best on your list?
Okay, so this is my list: New Super Mario Brothers Wii,
Mhm.
Super Mario Brothers,
Mhm.
Mario 64, Sunshine, 3D World, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, Super Mario Brothers 2.
Now hold on. What number is Super Mario Brothers 2? Sorry if you don't have
8,
numbers there. I just don't want to get
6?
lost. Okay.
I think it's 6.
Okay.
Odyssey,
Mhm.
Super Mario Brothers Galaxy or Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers 3, and then Mario Galaxy 2
Okay.
as my number 1.
Right. So we're gonna have an interesting conversation here. The bottom of my list, number 12, the original Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
Number 11, Super Mario Sunshine. Number 10, Super Mario Brothers 2. Number 9, New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Number 8, New Super Mario Brothers U. Number 7, Super Mario Galaxy. Number 6, Mario 64. Number 5, Mario Galaxy 2. Number 4, Super Mario 3D World. Number 3, Odyssey. 2, World. And 1, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay.
So, here are points of consensus that I see. We both have Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Brothers near the very bottoms of our lists.
Yes. Now, okay, it should be said that I did not own a Wii U, and so I have played some Super Mario 3D World, but I have not played all of it.
Right. And I have played precious little of Super Mario Sunshine.
So we're kind of relying on each other.
Yeah. But you put Sunshine pretty low, right?
I did, but I put it above Mario 64.
Yeah, you did. Which I guess is intentional. I put Super Mario 64 relatively high on my list. It's halfway.
Right.
It's halfway up. It's number 6 for me.
Yeah.
And again, wherever we put these games,
they're all great games.
they're basically all great games.
But if you feel really angry about it,
yeah, you can write to us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
or you can find us on Twitter and tweet angry things at us. It's fine. We're at Nincart Society. Look, let's all just be cool, okay?
Yeah.
But if you want to fight us,
Everybody be
please.
cool.
Right.
Okay. So the point of consensus that I see,
Mm-hmm.
an easy entry point into this is our bottom 2 games.
Yes.
Right? So, although, okay, maybe not. Because I have
so your
I have
bottom two, yeah.
My bottom two are my 12th place game is New Super Mario Brothers Wii,
Mm-hmm.
followed by Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, and my bottom two are Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So my number 9 is New Super Mario Brothers Wii. So I don't have that much higher on my list than you have it on yours. So I think we can reasonably. And where do you have Sunshine?
12, 11, 10, 9.
9th. Okay, and that's where I have New Super Mario Brothers Wii. I feel like those are our bottom 3. Sunshine, original Mario Brothers, and New Mario Brothers Wii. What is your number 10?
Super Mario Brothers. Oh, my number 10 is Mario 64.
Mario 64, and that's where I've got. This is interesting, Mark. That's where I've got Super Mario Brothers 2. Your Super Mario Brothers 2 is at number 6.
Yeah.
And my Super Mario 64 is at 6.
Yeah.
So this is one where they're in hugely disparate places on the list, but we've just sort of swapped them. Okay, but so bottom 3, let me know if you agree with this, are Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Sunshine, and New Super Mario Brothers U. I don't know in that order necessarily.
Yeah, no. I obviously I have 64 below Sunshine, but I'm a reasonable person and would hear reasonable arguments as to why it should be higher.
Well, and I have Super Mario Brothers 2 lower than new
Right.
Super Mario
Good
Wii.
point. Okay, so here's my argument for why New Super Mario Brothers Wii should be at the bottom.
Okay.
And it's purely the reason I give Super Mario Brothers the edge is because of like historical value.
I get that. Of all of these games, the one that I want to revisit the least is the original Super Mario Brothers. It's just so like the experience is like a one-time straight line. Like there are warp zones and stuff, but like I don't know, the game feels like hyper linear to me. Almost arcadey in a way that like I don't associate with Mario otherwise. That like I don't know. And then New Super Mario Brothers Wii has that chaotic 4-player experience that like maybe it's kind of crummy that they don't introduce more characters. It's like, and here are 2 toads. But I don't know. I think it is a better game than the original Super Mario Brothers.
So I feel like the 4-player multiplayer of the Wii version is super fun, but almost turns it into a spin-off rather than
interesting.
I mean, it obviously isn't. Or I guess you could argue that like the new series is its own weird
it's its own
thing,
series, right?
But
we could rank the new games if we wanted to.
But I don't know. It doesn't. It feels less like what I consider a traditional Mario game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can play it by yourself, but I don't think the Wii game is super rewarding or necessarily fun
on its own
to play by yourself. I don't. But I also I don't really have a lot of effusive things to say about Super Mario Brothers, the original, outside of the fact that I think it's super historically significant, and I played it a bunch as a kid, more than Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah, more than Super Mario Brothers 2, or yeah, okay. Yeah, I definitely played 2 more than that. Okay, so we're not. So we're
splitting hairs, kind of.
We are splitting hairs a little bit here. So let's pull out the amiibos that represent these games that we're talking about, which is the 8-bit Mario amiibo for Super Mario Brothers. What am I looking for here? Oh yes, the Bowser Jr. representing New Super Mario Brothers Wii, and because there's no Flood amiibo, it's these. The Daisy is representing Super Mario Sunshine. So these three guys are gonna go somewhere at 12, 11, 10. Mark, where do you think they should go?
Okay. All right. I'm willing to put. Man, I guess when you like. Okay. Well, because I'm looking at these and I'm like, which one would I rather replay right now?
Yeah.
New Super Mario Brothers Wii or Super Mario Sunshine? and I'd probably rather sit down and play New Super Mario Brothers Wii than Sunshine, even though I have
Right.
Sunshine above Mario 64. So this is my proposed order.
Right.
Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Sunshine, New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
I will support that. So you have that Sunshine at 11 is what you're saying.
Yeah, Sunshine at 11.
And Sunshine at 11. So Super Mario Brothers is our number 12.
You should put it next to the numbers so we can see what the numbers are.
That's a good point. So new Super Mario Brothers is at number 12.
Uh-huh.
Super Mario Sunshine is at number 11.
Uh-huh.
And New Super Mario Brothers Wii is our number 10.
Okay.
That's tough love, but it's.
And are we locking these in, or do we reserve the right to like go back and reconsider?
Well,
we get further on the list.
The list has to be definitive,
right? Yes.
So I think we have to reserve the right to edit.
Okay.
As we go.
I don't know that we'll use that.
Right,
privilege.
but it's good to have.
So my pitch then,
right,
is that 64's got to come in at 9.
So I think 64 and Super Mario Brothers 2 have to come in together, either at 8 and 9, not respectively necessarily. I think we can go 64 at 9 and Mario Brothers 2 at 8. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, I find 64 just a difficult game to revisit.
It is. I mean, I guess I'm just starting to stage the historical argument that that you were going to pose for the original Super Mario Brothers. I think it's also a bummer that Mario 64, while it was re-released on 3DS, like that port of it isn't great.
Oh yeah, the DS version?
Yeah. Oh yeah, DS, not 3DS. That like it's not really playable because it doesn't have the inputs for it. There's no analog stick. You have to use like a
D-pad or like a touchscreen.
Yeah, and the touchscreen for Mario Control is just insane. So okay, I will do that. Super Mario 64
at number 9.
Yeah. All right. So let's review. I'll take back the condition that I just had about putting 2 at number 8. But I want to talk about like what we think comes next, or should we go up to the top of the list and discuss the top places for?
Because do you think the middle is where this is going to get messy?
I don't know. I think it's like a puzzle, right? You do some of the edges and then you fill in the middle.
Yeah.
But it also gets more exciting at the end. So maybe what we need to do is we need to talk about what we think is in sort of like the middle tier here. So I had originally, like I said, lumped this into God tier, good games, and then maybe not perfect games. And so for me, I had Super Mario 64 in my God tier because I love that game. But so the games of that for me that aren't represented here yet that are in sort of the middle would be Super Mario Galaxy, New Super Mario Brothers U, and Super Mario Brothers 2. And I feel like the middle of your list is going to be way different than that.
Yeah, so the middle of my list of things that are out here still are 3D World, the New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and Super Mario Brothers 2 and Odyssey. That's kind of like the middle 4.
Middle 4. So my middle 4 is Galaxy 2, Galaxy, New U, and Super Mario Brothers 2.
So I'm willing to see Galaxy fall, into the middle tier here, even though I have it in my top 4.
Galaxy 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we are in agreement that Galaxy 2 better than Galaxy 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just one thing that we're gonna put aside here. Galaxy 2 better than Galaxy 1, and then we are also dealing with kind of universally New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, right?
Yeah.
These are both games that we see as sort of in the middle of the pack here.
So part of the reason that I have 3D World in the middle of the pack is, again, I haven't played a ton of it. What I have played is fun and interesting, but just kind of like the new Super Mario Brothers Wii, it feels uh kind of like an offshoot of what I expect Mario to be.
Yeah.
It's like a different
Mhm.
like you could continue the 3D World games as its own separate entity.
Absolutely. I mean, you could argue that about Super Mario Brothers 2 as well, but they just never did. Or maybe that's what Super Mario 3D World is, because it carries forward that idea of like 4 different playable characters, and they all control slightly differently. And it like takes place in a similar kingdom where like you're rescuing fairies and stuff. Um, so here's what I'm gonna propose. Either Galaxy or New Super Mario Brothers U are going to be at 8 and 7. I don't know which is which. Then Super Mario Brothers 2, and then 3D World on top of that.
Man, I guess I don't have Super Mario Brothers 2 that much higher.
You have it at 6. And
Yeah,
we would
and
be putting it at 6.
And I'm kind of deferring to you for 3D World anyways.
3D World is so good that like I would feel okay if we're putting it at like the high end of these, like the sort of middle section here.
Yeah, and like
What do you feel like you're giving something up here? Or?
No.
Okay.
Just I mean, I have Galaxy as the 4th best,
Yeah.
and so I definitely want to see it above New U.
So do you think we can put New U at number 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So New Super Mario Brothers U is going at number 8. And again, still a great game, right?
Yeah,
We just did an episode about this game. It's super fun. I think you and I could go back into it right now and continue to have more fun playing it.
Got to get those star levels.
Got to get them star levels. Okay, so that means our next entries here are going to be Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Galaxy, and Super Mario 3D World. I would like to put Super Mario 3D World at number. So we're talking about 5, 6, and 7 at this point. I would like to put 3D World at 5, but I guess
that would be my argument. That would be my place for Galaxy.
That would be your place for Galaxy.
Uh-huh.
So I think what we're saying then is that Super Mario Brothers 2 is going to go at number 7.
Yeah,
okay.
I feel okay about that.
Okay, let's put that over there. Princess Amiibo. Okay.
and I really love Super Mario Brothers 2. Like, I remember getting that as a kid and renting it. And again, it was one of those weird things where we only had one other Mario game to compare it to.
Yeah.
And so that it was completely and totally different was weird, but
like you loved it.
Yeah, you just like roll with it. Now I think it's a really fun game to replay.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the Mario games, or definitely of the 2D Mario games that I put the least amount of time into, that it still feels like there's new and exciting things in there that I maybe didn't know about.
Yeah.
Or haven't experienced a million times.
Yeah, it's also got like an interesting relationship to its own secrets, because like you pull up those like potions and like throw them down, and there's a door, and like depending on where you do that, like there's nothing that indicates that like here is where you do it, and then you get like there are many levels in that game that I don't know where I'm supposed to throw those bottles down.
Yeah, you pick up like a potion, and then you
you're like
no matter where you throw it down, there's no mushroom or anything on the other side.
Right. And like you can kind of prioritize like, oh, do I want to throw it down where I can get a lot of coins to try and get extra lives? Do I want to get the mushroom so I have more life going into the boss, or like do I want to warp with it? It's a very cool game, and there are some like lessons and things that game tried that like haven't really come back in any meaningful way.
And not that we're using, because we've been avoiding using like historical significance in when ranking these games, but like in a weird way, Super Mario Brothers 2 was super influential in defining the I guess not personalities as much as the like abilities of the characters we know in the Mario universe. Like, I just assume that Mario is going to be the all-around
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like champion,
And that Toad's gonna run fast.
and Peach is gonna float.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. And that Luigi's gonna be a little bit taller.
And they have a crazy jump.
Isn't that nuts that like before this Luigi wasn't taller?
Yeah, he was just. And did they continue this? Like when Luigi would show up in. Man, when was the next time Luigi showed up?
Like as a separate playable character? I mean, like in Super Mario Brothers 3, but he looks the same
Right.
in game.
Yeah.
But like in all promotional art, they make him different. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's like the genesis of like they look different or they have different abilities. I guess Mario and Luigi are control a little bit differently in Lost Levels. Is that right? That Luigi skids around a little bit more.
Oh, I don't remember actually. That sounds right.
That sounds right. Look, no one knows. Okay, so we are now at 5 and 6, and we have to place Mario Galaxy, a great game that we love, and Super Mario 3D World, a great game that maybe just I love. I think I see how this shakes out. That Super Mario 3D World is going to go at number 6, and Super Mario Galaxy is going to go to number 5.
So should we talk a little bit about why we love Galaxy so much?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, there are a few things that I like in Mario games more than just like making Mario run around, especially 3D Mario. There's something so satisfying about just like, making him run and jump and like pulling off triple jumps and stuff like that. And Galaxy took that and put it into like messed with the sheer physics of it, right? So that depending on if you were on a small little planet, that he would long jump all the way around the planet. And it would also just like wantonly switch gravity on you, right? That you would have like these 2D platforming sections and then just be like, nope, the ceiling is now the floor and the floor is now the ceiling. And it just took everything that was so like fun and energetic about, Mario 64 or, any other 3D Mario game and just like flipped it on its head. Like the basic components of it made it more exciting.
I also think that Galaxy, in a way, was kind of a retreat for Nintendo after Sunshine didn't work out the way they wanted it to. It, the Galaxy games, for as amazing as they are, they take away that like free roaming ability.
Yeah,
they're like a return to the course-based Mario that we're familiar with from his like 2D adventures, but it's just putting it into a 3D space. And I think the reason why I love these games so much is that is my preferred Mario game. I love like the course-based,
right?
Like you're trying to get from one end to the other as quickly as possible. And Galaxy just does that. It does it in a more like a little bit more open, more of a 3D space, but it's still fairly controlled, fairly like linear levels, linear objectives. And for me, that's like the perfect melding of 3D and 2D Mario that I always didn't realize I wanted until it was there.
Yeah, I think also Galaxy does a great job of like broadening what Mario is while still feeling true to Mario. Like the way it introduces space and Lumas and Rosalina all feels very much in line with Mario, right? There are levels at the end of Super Mario 3D World where like they're just in space, and because Galaxy came before it, it just makes sense, and like when you go to the moon in Mario Odyssey, that I don't know, it feels like Galaxy laid the groundwork to like make that all very smooth and all make sense and feel like it's part of Mario's like real DNA.
And just the presentation of Super Mario Galaxy is pretty amazing. Like we've talked about before, the like storytelling.
Yeah.
That if you want it, it's there, and the story it's telling is like really nice and sweet and touching
and
sad and like the music is great. I don't know. I really feel like Galaxy was 3D Mario firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe at this point we need to address the fact that there is another Super Mario Galaxy game in here that we are putting above Super Mario Galaxy.
Right.
We're saying all these great things about Galaxy. Why do we like Galaxy 2 better than that?
Because Galaxy represents them like laying the groundwork, putting the foundation for
Mhm.
this type of Mario game.
Yeah.
And then Galaxy 2 is them being like, okay, we ate our vegetables and they were fun and amazing vegetables.
And now we're turning those vegetables into candy.
And that's all Galaxy 2 is. It's literally, I mean, very rarely do we see direct sequels here. And Galaxy 2 is the developers just being like, we had too many fun and good ideas
Right.
to not make this game. And so here it is.
Well, and it's not just like here are more level ideas or whatever. Like Yoshi is introduced in this thing, and then also once you're done with getting all the stars, all 120 stars in the like main game, it's like psych. Here are another 120 stars for you to find, which is just amazing. And they're all they're like green. They're green stars, and they are like their placement is weird in levels. So it's all about like getting into like the weird little corners of the world and just experiencing the game that you've already experienced, which is sort of a thing that we've been praising, and I think everyone has about Odyssey, that like that game does such a good job of like rewarding you for exploring like little crevices. And like, you know, for everyone that's like, oh, what a great innovation in Odyssey, like, nope, that was an innovation in Galaxy 2.
And so I have Galaxy 2 as my number one game.
Yeah.
And you know, I can see an argument for Super Mario Brothers 3 being number one.
Yes.
But it's hard for me outside of just nostalgia to put World above Galaxy 2.
To put World above Galaxy 2
is hard for me. Like
sure.
Yeah. And Odyssey. Okay, of the remaining four, I would do it in this order.
Yes.
I would do Odyssey, World, and then the top two, you know, between 3 and Galaxy 2. I could
go
either way.
All right.
Yeah.
So you like Odyssey next and then World above it?
That's how I would rank it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy with those two games coming next. But I think let's talk a little bit about why we would put World over Odyssey or Odyssey over World. So what does Super Mario World do so well that, first of all, warrants its position in the top 4 of a list of incredible games?
So actually, where did you have World initially?
Number 2.
Okay.
I put World right behind 3.
So this might be one where I'm willing to like maybe we will talk ourselves into putting World lower than the top 4 because I think it's a great game, but I think the reason I have it so high compared to some of these other games is like nostalgia.
Oh man, I don't know. Every time I have the opportunity to play World, World was, you know, among the first Super Nintendo games that came to the 3DS when they started putting Super Nintendo games on there, and like since downloading it, I've played it on 3DS like 4 times all the way through. And like I played through it on the SNES Classic. I've got the cartridge. I played it on my real Super Nintendo. It is probably the Mario game that I revisit the most. And part of that is that it's available on everything and all that. So I really love this. I really love that game.
Well, one of the things that World does outside of like the amazing like platforming and everything, one thing that it does that's really cool is as you are moving through the world of Super Mario World, the choices you make and like the way that you go through the world affect the rest of the map.
Yeah, affect the rest of the world, and so like it affects the overworld map and affects the levels themselves. What, you know, when you're hitting the P switches. I also find that playing Super Mario World multiplayer is super rewarding too, because there are so many branching paths that like your friend can be like going on one way and you can cruise on the other way. And like you're both, normally playing like Mario 3 or whatever, you're both sort of like trying the same worlds over and over again. But like you can have your own objectives between your Mario and your Luigi, between lives. I just think it's a very special game and I love it to death.
I mean, it's also so cool that depending on which like branching path you take, or
Mhm.
if you accidentally stumble on a branching path, like the third world or like level that you come across is Bowser's Castle.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you hightail it for a Star Road and then like go all the way through, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just such a cool game, and there's I don't know, everything about it's also the only one that like looks like that. Super Mario World has a very distinct art style that like I think the other Mario games don't necessarily use.
Oh, totally. I mean, it was the first 16-bit.
Yeah,
It was kind of the only 16-bit Mario game that we got.
yeah,
And it does have a
absolutely.
very like distinct identity within the series, even like those like the football player enemies
Yeah.
and the dinosaur
I mean,
guys that are like walking around.
even your basic Goombas are different, right? That they're like these little round balls instead of like little mushroom shaped dudes. And you jump on them once and then they're upside down and you can like flip them. I also feel like flying in Super Mario World feels better than it does in any other Mario game.
Yeah, the way you can like use the cape to you like hold the cape over you and then you can use it to like bounce up a little bit.
Yeah, or like dive down to the earth and boof, boof. Yeah, I mean, and that's also Mario at some of its simplest too, because like his power ups are only that and fire, right? Like that's it. You're not loaded up with weird suits and hats and stuff.
Okay, so we have convinced me
that world belongs up here.
that world belongs like high,
So here's
but the thing we're competing against is Odyssey, kind of.
at this point, yeah, is
Yeah.
Odyssey. So Odyssey, obviously, we both love Odyssey, obviously. And it again is sort of an exercise in simplicity, right? Like Mario has the abilities that he has at the beginning. There are no power ups in this game. It's all about exploring and running around and stuff. But like, man, what a great like set of worlds to explore.
Yeah, as I've been returning to Odyssey, I definitely enjoy it more. I still prefer the the course based,
Yeah.
where it's just like, here is your objective,
Yes.
go do it and do it as fast as you can or as carefully as you can or whatever it is, versus the like, here's a really cool world that we've constructed. Now run around and find like the things that we've hidden.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think where Odyssey like makes up for that is like it is that, but it also provides a lot of obstacle courses within. Like those are a lot of your rewards for like finding the little hidden corners. Is like, oh, now here's a fun obstacle course for you to complete. But I think of our top 4, it is fine to put Odyssey at number 4.
Okay, I feel good about that.
Okay. Super Mario Odyssey, as represented by Mario in his wedding tuxedo, is number 4, which brings us, Mark, to the top 3. The
Right.
games currently in the running for top 3 are Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Galaxy 2, and Super Mario World. Great games all.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
on different days, I would say that any one of them is the best Mario game. But we are creating a definitive list, and it is irrefutable.
So are we weighting Super Mario Brothers 3 too heavily?
Tell me why on earth you would say that.
Look, I mean,
Sure. Is it better than World, for example?
Yeah, like, is it really?
So here's where I think yes. And this does have a little bit of like a historical perspective like bent to it. It does introduce a lot of stuff these other games will come to use in the future, like an overworld map, and like branching paths. It sort of expands the idea of power-ups for Mario, Prior to this, all we had was like firepower, and they're like, we still have fire, but like you can get a raccoon suit, which introduces flight. And there are like the other sort of like deeper in the game suits, like the Hammer Brothers suit, and what other stuff? The Tanuki. There's that boot deep in there, and the frog suit. So like, but all of those are rare enough in that game that like you don't think about Super Mario Brothers 3 as like, oh, the game where I play as a frog or the game where I play as Tanuki. It I don't know. I feel like for being a game that's as old as it is, a lot of parts of it still feel like very special and like uniquely fun. When you find that boot level, it's exciting. When you are playing that level that goes up into the clouds and like you're up in the clouds, like that's fun and exciting every time. And even the like airship levels, I don't know, they feel like fun and I just think everything about that game is so well designed.
Well, one of the things that, because I think in a lot of ways, World is, the another iteration
Yeah.
on the ideas of 3.
Yeah.
So you have, like different power ups.
Mm-hmm.
You have the cape versus the
raccoon tail.
The raccoon tail. So it's, and then branching paths and everything. Like, they took the ideas of 3 and then explored them in World. But they're also different games in that 3 is, those levels are so short.
Yeah, they are.
Like they're real, just like bite size. Like, here's a challenge, and we're gonna have a boot level, and we're gonna have like this or that, and there's so much variety because it's just gonna be a short hit of it, and then you'll get out.
Yeah.
World is a little slower. World
Yeah,
is
I
a
agree
little
with
more
that.
like exploratory. The levels are not necessarily the same, but there's less of that like shotgun blast of variety.
Mm-hmm.
Where like every level's giving you something different in 3.
Yeah. 3's also got the like kind of freeing factor of the warp whistles, and the sort of like, there are all these impenetrable secrets in 3, like duck behind this white block and then you can run behind the thing and grab a whistle here, and like all this stuff that we learned from Nintendo Power or whatever that like lets you play that. Like when I sit down to play Super Mario Brothers 3 now, I have to decide like, all right, am I going to play every level? Am I going to warp? Where am I going to warp? And like working out like, well, if I play up to World 5, then I can go into, World 8 with like, 2 Tanuki suits and like 3 P-Wings or whatever. It's just such a fun game to like embark on a new swing at it, and it feels like there are so many different ways to approach it. Whereas like Super Mario World, in my mind, the only way to play that game is just to like play it all. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can get yourself to Bowser's back door and like finish it, but you're like, I didn't really do it.
Yeah, it feels less satisfying.
Yeah, like it offers roads through the game that like you're not actually going to take. So that's why I put 3 over World. But, like I said, which of these games do I revisit more than any is Super Mario World. So I don't know. All these games are great.
Yeah.
When's the last time you played Galaxy 2, out of curiosity?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Like, probably when it came out.
Yeah. So, it's a great game. I don't want to take anything away from it being a great game, and I certainly don't want to imply that it shouldn't be at the top of your list. But I'm just like, I'm wondering as we go into our top 3 here. This is hard, Mark. I don't know what to do now.
Well, okay, if we're looking at it from a both Mario 3 and World were super influential going forward. Although I would say 3 more than World.
Just because it's like, I mean,
it's persisted.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the one when Nintendo wants to be nostalgic.
Right. Here's World. Yeah.
Here's like a raccoon tail.
Here's 3.
Here's, like a Tanuki suit.
Yeah. I mean, remember when Super Mario 3D Land was introduced? It was just introduced with the graphic for the 3D, and then there was a tail, a shadow of a tail coming off of it. Like that was enough for people to be like, oh. Yeah, I think that is a that is a get hyped game for sure.
Whereas Galaxy 2, or I guess like the first Galaxy, kind of represent like a evolutionary dead end,
Yeah,
at least at this point, where, they had those two games. They're awesome. They represent a kind of 3D Mario game.
yeah,
But, the B suit from Galaxy hasn't, like persisted.
right. Or like the Rock Mario or Cloud Mario. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Remember we had that conversation about how you would have to update some Smash Brothers characters given the games that have come out since the last one, and we were like, oh well, Cappy Mario has to deal. You have to deal with the fact that he has Cappy now. And Mario in Smash for Wii U and 3DS, there's no Galaxy stuff in there. He's got Flood still, so like they're still throwing back to Sunshine. Um, and Rosalina's in those games, so there are parts of them that do persist for sure.
But it's not like the gameplay elements.
That's right. Yeah, it's not like the gameplay elements.
So, do you think we're valuing Odyssey too low? Well, I definitely like Galaxy 2 more than Odyssey.
Yeah, I hear that. It's hard because I think I'm fighting my gut a little bit to keep Odyssey where it is instead of pulling it up.
Well, your
'Cause
gut
it
says
might-
pull it up to 3.
My gut says pull it up to 3, but I recognize that part of that is that it's the sheen of a new game, right? That like I just had my super positive experience with it and was just blown away by it. Whereas like Galaxy 2, I think what I want to do going into the end here is Galaxy 2 at 3, World, and then Super Mario Brothers 3 at number 1. But I would also be willing to go Super Mario World at number 3, Galaxy 2 at number 2, Super Mario Brothers 3 at number 1. Tell me what you're thinking. You want to put Galaxy 2 at number 1.
I want to put Galaxy 2 at number 2.
Okay.
Uh,
But you're not sure how you feel about... Do you think we need to take them all down and start over?
well, okay, so here's, like you were saying, I don't know, I feel like the only reason I put 3 so high up there is because it was so formative
Yeah.
for me, and it's like those, when you hear the music from 3 or you see the raccoon tail or whatever, it's like
Yeah.
hitting those pleasure centers of the brain. But I don't know if like the actual, and so maybe we value that. Like maybe that's fine that is,
Sure, yeah.
the thing that like
I hear what
puts it
you're saying,
over
yeah.
the edge of World, which I think is probably like, I guess like the better platformer.
World?
Yeah.
All right. God. I don't know. There are certainly some days where I agree with that. Where do you put World in your ranking?
Let's see. I have World at 3rd.
Okay.
So my order was 3rd Mario World, 2nd Mario Brothers 3, 1st Galaxy 2.
Okay. So I have Mario Brothers 3 at my number 1, World at my number 2, and then Galaxy 2 I have a little bit lower. I have it at number 5.
And like, look, like I have not played Galaxy 2 since I beat it the first time. And the reason why I have it above Odyssey and some of these other games is just like the euphoria I felt when playing that game has like persisted in a way that Odyssey did not recapture. You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean. What if we do this, Mark?
Okay.
What if we put World, which is neither of our number 1s, at number 1?
Okay.
This way there's no, because I feel like if we put Galaxy 2 or Mario 3 at number 1, that like one of us got to choose it, right?
Yeah.
But this way we both put one that's in our top 3 up there, and it's a game that we both feel really good about.
Uh-huh.
and that I revisit more than anything else at our number 1. I don't think anyone could argue with that or fault us for it.
I feel good about that.
Okay. So
yeah, let's do it. Let's
okay.
crown World as number 1.
Super Mario World is number 1.
Uh-huh.
Now, the tricky business: Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Where do they go between 2 and 3?
I guess I would put Galaxy 2 in 3rd place and Super Mario Brothers 3 in 2nd place.
I think that's what I do as well. Super Mario Galaxy 2 at 3 and Super Mario Brothers 3 at 2, which is not confusing at all. All right, Mark, I feel like this is a good list. I feel like we've ranked them all. Do you want to run us through from the bottom?
Yeah, okay. So, let's see. Coming in at number 12 is Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Number 11, Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube. Number 10, New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
For the Wii.
Number 9, Super Mario 64. Now, that might be... I think a lot of people value Super Mario 64 more than we did. Well, and you did as well, right? Where did you?
Yeah, I have it at
originally?
number 6. So
okay, yeah.
But look, this is definitive and irrefutable.
Exactly.
So, okay, Super Mario 64 is at number 9.
Number 8 is New Super Mario Brothers U. Number 7 is Super Mario Brothers 2 for the NES. Number 6, Super Mario 3D World. Number 5, Super Mario Galaxy. Number 4, Super Mario Odyssey. Number 3, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Number 2, Super Mario Brothers 3. And the reigning champion and definitive winner of Best Mario Game is Super Mario World.
You did it.
From the Super Nintendo.
Perfect. Mark, I think we came up with a great list. This was impossible to do, right?
Yeah, they're all good games.
I think if we did this tomorrow, it would be a different order.
I think so. But it is definitive.
It is definitive, and this is it. And I guess no one can or should argue with it. Mark, that was a wonderful list. Let's close out that segment. But of course, I'm sure other people are going to have their reactions to this, and I want to know where people disagree with us. Were people assuming that Odyssey would shoot right to the top? I don't know. Nobody knows. You can email us your lists to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, or get us on Twitter. We're at NinCart Society, and the Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Any other? Mark and I like doing these lists, even though it becomes so hard, and we don't know what to do, and we just stare at the entries, and we're like, "What do we do, Mark? We're gonna mess something up." If you have a suggestion for a list that we could do, you can email us or tweet or whatever, and we will take all of that and love it. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please, I was going to say rank, review, and subscribe. Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a bunch, and we love seeing it. We love interacting with listeners in any way, shape, or form that we can. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books at retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can check out more of his music at 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying they're all good games. And thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?